Now before I look at the other way to do that, I'm going to quickly save this one. This is now number 3. Really quick. Alright, so let me go back and load number 2. What was that? Open number 2. There it is. So that was a slightly, oh no, wait a moment. Yeah, this is smaller, but that was, I guess, before we resample. So let's go and resample it down again. What was it? 640. And so. Alright, so what I was referring to is that if we forget to change the background color to black, which means it will add whatever the background color is, white in this case, if it adds the white around it, let's see how to fix that thereafter. So I'm going to do the same thing here, image size, lower left corner so that that stays, and then we build up some additional margins on the right and the upper area. And again we have 800. And what was it, 512? Maybe we don't do that much this time. We'll do just a little bit more, so we'll say 400. We will add just 40. We were at 360. We're going to add another 40 pixels there. But it is in white, as expected, right? So how do we fix that? I mean, we could go with the fill tool here and just click here. The black color is the primary color is black. It will fill it. Right? And then we can use the arrow cursor keys to go to the next frame and fill that, and the next one, and so on. But that's not really a smart way to do it, because we have a lot of frames here. Well, not really too many. We could potentially do that, and by the time I'm done saying this phrase, it's already done. But still, there's another approach to do that, and the way to do that is to say, look at one of these and make this a selection through which you want to turn everything black. Right? And that we can do with either some of the new filters, like what is it, the animated, one of these filters here will do a merge or a fill selection, right, and it will fill it in black. That's one way to do it. There's another way, which is through the timeline, and so I'll elaborate on that. Let's go do the selection first. Let's go use the magic wand. Make sure we're not in anti-aliased mode, because we want to either select it or not select it all the way in there. And that means we now have that selection on. We can see it here with the overlay alpha. This part is tinted in pink and this part is not, so that's the one that's fully selected. If we still doubt ourselves, we can do this. We can store the alpha, and that will give us a good idea of what is not selected, which is black, and what is selected, which is white. Alright, let's go close that. So now we're going into the timeline, and we're going to say, I wish I could pull the black color into here from another place. That other place would be the swap buffer. So I need to make sure I have a copy of just plain black in the swap buffer. Let's see what we have in the swap buffer right now. Let's go switch the two. Right now I'm looking at the main image. Let's go do a switcheroo right here, swap buffers. And well, it's not doing a whole lot, and that is probably because of the alpha channel masking some of it not happening. So maybe I'm not doing this in the right order. What I'm going to therefore do is jump back to the main buffer, undo the selection or clear it, right, and then I'm going to jump. So so here we actually have white in this area. I don't care about this part. This part is going to be masked off, so it can be black, it can be anything, doesn't matter. But this part is the one that we will be pulling through from the swap buffer into the main buffer, and I want to make sure that one's black too. So let's go. Actually, really what we ought to do is with the fill tool, and why am I doing a selection? Control D to clear that. So with the fill tool, primary color black, yeah, everything's black. That's really what I need in the swap buffer. Now I'm using J for jumping back to the main buffer, and I still have the white quadrant here, right? But if I do my selection here now with the magic wand, select this, right? So now if I were to composite or to combine what's in the main buffer with what's in the swap buffer, it would be, for instance, multiplying them together would turn it all black. It would not touch this part because that's outside of the selection mask. Only what's in the selection mask up here will be affected by that operation. We can do a single test on just one frame like this. Under the filter menu we can do a combine or a swap, and we would do, for instance, a subtract and additive. No, probably multiply is the best way to do it, and there we go. Control D to clear the buffer, and there you see, so we have a nice black background all over. So that's on this frame. Let's make sure we do this again on the rest of the frame sequence. So how do we do that? We select the magic wand, we make sure we have that selection in effect. We still have the swap buffer. In fact, the swap buffer should be showing here somewhere if we have additional layers, which we don't, so I'm not going to show that here. But what we can do now is go to the timeline, right? And in the timeline you have a filter collection here that's very similar to all the filters you have in the main filter. But instead of being just for one frame here, you have that for the entire frame sequence. Now some of these filters are also animated, like the animated category, and there's a few more, like the render sky has some animated features as well. But for the most part, what you see filters here are very similar to the organization you have here. And we have therefore a group of filters that do the combine with swap. We're going to use the one called multiply. And sure enough, it turns what used to be white here, it turns it black, because it multiplies the black swap buffer only through the mask that's currently the selection. And at that point we are done, because we can swap through that, and every picture that we have is going to show, except that the white part is going to turn black along the right side. Apply that, and we're done. Alright, we can clear the selection mask, and now we have a beautiful earth against a black background. Now this was the more difficult way to do it, but it proved a point, which is that you can fix it if you did it wrong initially. Alright, so let's move on to the next step.